Welcome back, Flyers Nitty Gritty fans, to Getting Gritty with It with your host, Yariv, Wolok, my partner in crime. I love saying that. Vasili, Gianarakos. Welcome back for another episode, buddy. How you doing?
Doing well, Yariv, despite the Flyers not doing that well right now. Another 10-game losing streak. We're, familiar with these.
Winless.
Yeah,
Winless.
winless, I guess. Winless. Hey, you know what? They got 3 points, so there you go in the last 10.
I
So
mean,
3 out of 20. There you go. That's some good percentages. But I will say,
you say it out loud, it's even more painful.
yeah, it's even worse. But,
Yeah.
10-game losing streak. There's not much to really say other than that. We're used to them at this point. We had a couple 10-gamers last season. So, only doing as good as I can be knowing that the Flyers are on such a streak. How about you, Yuri?
Yeah, man, I'm not too bad. I agree with you, though. I mean, look, these times are painful. And this will be the main title around the article. I just want to start off with this is like, I can appreciate that people want to have conversations, deep conversations about how good this team is. I've heard Tortorella, criticized for this, but realistically, like, you look at the names in the lineup, you look at that forward group, say whatever you want about how the D's playing, how the offense is playing, the effort, all that. It's just the talent's not there. It is what it is. I don't think this team was well prepared for that, and we can talk about that today. But yeah, it's been painful to watch. But I will say this, to me, I stand by what I said, and I think you probably agree with this as well, Vasili. This is not the same thing as the 10 losses before. You look at the names on the ice during those 10-game losing streaks, they're different than the names available today. And again, a lot of these games were not blowouts, even if the scores look like that at some point. They were in all these games at some point. Outside of bringing home to the Pens game, obviously was an exception to that. But for the most of these games, we've talked about it. These aren't like blowout losses. A lot of these are empty netters, kind of at the end of the game, 1-2. So it's been painful. But let's get into this talk about the two games. Let's go into the Pittsburgh game. So Flyers lose that game 4-1, a game where I think they can definitely be criticized overall. Their effort wasn't their best. Their precision was not there. And obviously the talent wasn't there in the lineup. They just never felt like they were going to be in that game. In the third period, they did come out, play a strong third period. But at that point, the Pens were kind of sitting back playing D. The game was under control. And really until one goal by Hayes did it even look like the Flyers kind of had any chance. And I really wanted to see that, Vasili. Like, in my heart, I was kind of like, please score a goal. I was like,
Come back, make it interesting.
Yeah. Just like show that you can score against a team when you really want to.
I mean, if you go into the Pittsburgh game right away, I have to say that's probably their worst game of the season for me, personally, just in terms of like their. Yeah, I think that's one of their worst.
Yeah, I think one of their worst. Yes, I just think they had a couple games this year where you're just like, ugh.
Yeah, definitely. There's been a couple bad ones, but that's
not that many.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to point out. Like, that's in the handful of maybe 2 or 3 where you can point to objectively and say, yeah, they played real bad in these ones.
Can I just add something to what you're saying, and I'll let you continue? I think that 4-1 loss, I think last year, that turns into the 8-2, 7-1 losses against the Rangers.
Yeah, exactly. Or like those 10-0s and things like that. Like, getting to that level where it's just embarrassing. Like, the Flyers played bad, but they didn't get embarrassed, right? Correct. And that's something that you kind of have to take away as a positive. It's a weird thing to take away as a positive, but
it's progress.
It is in a sense, though, because the team, though they didn't play very well, and like I said, it was, for me, their worst game of the season. Mm-hmm. They did try to, have some shifts in the third. It was garbage time, and Tortorella even acknowledged that. Like, the Pens at that point take their foot off the gas, and then that gives you the opportunity to kind of do that. So you'd like to see them play that way in the first period to start the game off. Yep. Unfortunately, it doesn't get to that point. And it's just a combination of things. Like, for me, the turning point in the game and what killed them is that Crosby goal to end the period. You have Sanheim and Hayes there, both right on Sidney Crosby, right next to him, actually. And, like, they don't box him out to make the tip. And then he ultimately does make the tip. And like when Sidney Crosby's there, you got to be more aware of your surroundings. When
what
it's
a
obviously
special
Sidney
player!
Crosby.
What a
Yeah,
special player
the
Crosby
fact
is,
that the
dude.
guy
It's
can,
painful.
the fact the guy can make a tip like that while
Man,
there's
he's
two
so
guys
good, man.
right in his vicinity
So
is
good.
astonishing. He's really good. I mean,
And
and
he's
he's
what,
now
35 now?
yeah, 35. He has the most goals in history against the Flyers, beat Lemieux with that goal. So it's, Penguins theme there, but overall, yeah, that Pittsburgh game not a good one. And then if we want to just ramp right into the Islanders game, honestly, this was probably one of the better games they played during this 10-game losing streak, I would say. They played really well the first 40 minutes. They were pretty even in the first period. It was pretty low event. There wasn't a lot of shots for any side. I think that's kind of the game you want to get into when you're on the road for the Flyers. You'd like a quiet first period. I think that they would take a 0-0 first period in that situation, or 1-1 as it was at the end of the first there. But I mean, low event for them in the first on the road is a good thing. And then the second period they dominated, and I actually thought, this is an opportunity to probably break the streak. And then you have those, just lapses with 22 seconds apart. You let 2 goals in against the Islanders, who are very stingy in the third period.
Yeah.
I believe they haven't lost very many games when they've been behind, if any at all. So for you to be down 2 in the third, that's a tall task. And it's just same things again, where not even
after
like
starting off down, which was already they defied the odds.
Yeah, exactly.
You
They
know what I
already
mean?
came back. So chances of doing that again in the same game is going to be tough. But it's just lapses, right? Like, I feel like the team was focused for a lot of that game, but it's just certain mental lapses like that. They kind of kill them. And then it just ends up being a turnover thing. You're right. Again, right? The 2 turnovers come back to bite them, and then game's over.
But I think this is, I think that was, excellent points. And I think a lot of the reason the lack of focus happens, it's like, I was going to make a completely inappropriate metaphor. I'm not going to do that now. But, they're not finishing, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're not. Look, if you guys had a chance to listen to John Tortorella's press conference today after practice, it's quite obvious that he's trying to say something where he can't say this publicly. It's like, I know people really want him to do it, though it's completely destructive to the locker room and a terrible idea. But the reality is, guys, the names in the lineup are not qualified to win hockey games.
At this level, for an extended period, I would say.
This is what I've been talking about, what we've been talking about for a long time, that this is an issue of talent now. Right? There wasn't before, because you saw they were playing messy, disorganized hockey. The effort wasn't there all the time. Now the effort's there. Yeah, they're not 100%, playing like the best they can be. Maybe they could have won a couple.
That goes into the talent
for sure.
Right?
Yeah, but exactly. Like, yeah, they can compete against Montreal. They can compete against Columbus. They can compete against these teams that are flawed like they are, even with all the missing talent. But when you go up against better teams, they don't have that edge. And this is a level of scarcity at the dynamic element of the Flyers lineup that I've never seen. Like, I know people have complained about it in the past. Like, when people said, where's the scoring coming from this year? They were talking about the lineup healthy. And at that point, I was thinking in my mind, I think you would agree, this lineup healthy is still a bubble playoff team. I think they can make the playoffs with Sean Couturier. I see that. I go, okay, the right pieces are in place here.
Everybody's healthy. I could see it. And there's actively like a ton of more goal scoring in the lineup.
Just throughout the whole lineup, right? Yeah. We're talking about all 4 lines being dangerous offensively.
Yeah.
That's what the Flyers' depth was, is that bottom 6 was full and still is. And you could say their depth is showing because they can put McEwen up and he can, be a little bit dynamic after losing 7 of the top 9.
Yeah. We had talks, think about it this way, right? We had talks earlier in the offseason, Yariv, of Wade Allison maybe being a 3rd, 4th line guy. Whereas into this lineup earlier, he's penciled in as a top 6 guy. So it just shows
because
depth, right?
But like, where I like Bellows, we can talk about how Bellows is being used. I still think Allison's got a higher ceiling than Bellows, though
I agree.
Yeah. Though I liked what I've seen from Bellows. But that is kind of what we're talking about, though, here, Vasili, is that we have a lot of these guys, and that's a great benefit. Like, I know people want to say they're AHL guys. No, they're not. They're bottom 6 forwards.
4th liners.
Yeah, they're bottom 6 forwards in the NHL.
They're playing above their weight, really.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. I think.
But there's nobody to fin it. but that you can hear what Tortorella is saying. He's like, look, we're winning battles. He's like, we're getting the puck. He's like, you look at the possession, we're getting possession. It's just, he's like, we don't know what to do with it when we have it. We don't have, there's no TK, there's no Atkinson, there's no Coots down the middle. And like, we should talk about Hayes in a little bit here, but there aren't these like dynamic elements here. Yeah. And there it is with 3 guys, 2 of which are 23, 22, right? Or maybe Tippett's 24 now. It's like these are young guys who have yet to do it at the NHL level.
And the consistency won't always be there with those young guys, and that's where you start to see the problems, right? Because though they have the talent to be difference makers, it's not always going to be on a nightly basis. And usually you have a JVR, an Atkinson, another guy that can step up and help them out, but there's just nobody there to rely on, right?
In this case, healthy, there would be several, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And even a guy like Kevin Hayes, like, it comes off a lot differently when you have a number 1 center ahead of him. That's like, all of a sudden Kevin Hayes is like a plus, and it's funny. Like I see people kind of shitting on him, and I understand, but offensively, I mean, this is the best season he's ever had.
He has
he's never been a point per game player.
Yeah.
What?
He has 22 points in 22 games. Yeah.
Yeah.
His best start ever.
He had 2 assists the other night. He's being relied upon offensively quite a bit.
He's scoring in situations where he's literally being put on new lines every game, too.
Yes.
So, like, kudos. You know how hard it is to get thrown into the blender every game. You're playing with new guys and you're still producing some sort of offense. So I can give him credit on that.
I still think I'm confused why he's not playing D like he was when he first got here. And that's the one part of his game where I'm like, man, I would take less. But
I have a hypothesis for that, and my thoughts are
nobody else around to play offense.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you are the main offensive contributor, and you know that, like, okay, my team already has a hard time scoring 2 goals a night when I'm actively on the scoreboard, getting 2 assists or a goal myself, or something along those lines. If I focus on defense now and don't try to push the envelope on offense, where are we going to get any goals? That's just the matter of the fact. And like you can say, well, you got to be a complete player. You want him to show the defense first, turn it into offense, but it's hard, man. When you're in that situation that he's in right now, it's very, very hard.
The Flyers are so injured that the new NHL roster update didn't even bother putting their lineup together.
They don't even care. Yeah, exactly. It's like
no, because nobody will play with the Flyers. Like
that's true.
I know that. I know that sounds like stupid what I just said, but like literally, TK's in the lineup. Like they didn't even bother scratching those guys because if you go online, nobody will use the Flyers.
Nobody will. Yeah, you'll lose
because there won't be any talent. It's. Look, it is very frustrating for me to sit back and for people to go like, well, this team is what we knew, what we thought they are, and it's like, I guess
the team's injured though.
But so. when they were even half injured, they were better than this.
This is my thing, right? Like,
and we'll talk about the big problem, which is
nobody really wants to blame injuries. You look at it and you say, okay, next man up, no excuses. That's all good and dandy when it's 1-2 injuries, sure. But when it's to the extent of this, where you're literally missing Couturier, Atkinson, JVR, Konechny.
It's all of your top producers.
It's basically 5 top 6 forwards that you're missing on a team that, even with them in the lineup, was considered to be offensively starved. That's the first thing. And that's obviously going to have an effect on how the team plays on the ice.
Which I don't think is a completely true statement. That I think they would have been average.
They would have been average.
They would have been middle of the road at best.
I agree. Offensively. They would have been, but at least when you have those guys in there, you're scoring more than 2 goals a game consistently.
And you can win being average. You can be a bubble team being average offensively.
Yeah, well, the thing is,
not with this. You can't win. You can't score with this line.
Yeah, I don't know. But the way it is, right, in the NHL is if you're
3 players you can produce.
If you're consistently scoring 2 goals a game a night, unless you're letting in about 1 goal a game, you're never going to win. How hard is it to win? How hard is it to only let in 1 goal a game on a consistent basis, right? It's very difficult. So
it's very, very difficult.
That's what I mean. So that, like, if you look at the stats and just the averages, that's what it essentially is. So you need to score more, and if they were in the lineup, it would help in that department.
100%. I think to add on what you're saying, it's not even it is that, and it's also on top of that, right? It's that you're not getting sustained pressure offensively, right? So it's a bigger burden on your defense. the
it just all compounds.
yeah, the mistakes going the opposite way are worse, right? Because the play in the neutral zone is more dangerous or whatever. Like you can look at these things on a surface level, but they all trickle down from these injuries, all of them.
Yeah,
and you can say that they're a bottom of the NHL team. Yeah, now having said that, I do think Fletcher is responsible for this. We all talked about it. There was already a gap at center prior to these injuries. There already was. And there was nothing done prior to it. And you have what, 35 million sitting in the press box right now, 40 million?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You could maybe even get, an Anisimov in there or something along those lines. He's doing pretty well in the fan.
You have to slide a contract, I think, or figure something out.
I'm assuming they're going to try to do something to make him like.
I think he'll have to do it a couple more games, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I think they'll have to show that he's definitely too good for the AHL. Well, I'll save it for this, but I do want to talk about the Phantoms a little bit too. We'll get to Anisimov and Lishko.
I just want to kind of dive into a couple stats that I have, just kind of rattling out the injuries. So total, so far this season, shout out to NHL Injury Viz at NHL Injury Viz on Twitter. Created some really interesting stats about man games lost to injury, cap hit of it, average injured players, average minutes of injured players, league wide. So interestingly enough, the Flyers lead the league in man games lost to injury with 129 in 22 games played. So that's a lot.
Crazy that the injury situation this year is worse than last year.
Than last year in a shorter amount of time.
Wow.
Who would have thought, right? I thought after last season, there's no way this could happen again, but here we are. The cap hit of the average cap hit of their injured players is also the highest in the league, and that's an average cap hit of $7.94 million. We know they have about 38 million out, something like that, so that makes a lot of sense. The average minutes of injured players for them would be 107 minutes and 11 per game. So between all the injured players they have, it would combine up to that of what minutes they would play each per game. So a lot of minutes is typically what those injured guys are playing. And lost positive wins above replacement for injured players is also the highest in the league. And that is at a 2.23. So wins above replacement essentially is a stat where you look at if you had a player in the lineup and then basically you replaced him with a replacement level player, the wins above average for that. So basically with those guys in the lineup, they're on average winning a lot more games, which the stat shows, right? And they're playing, not to say that the guys that are in the lineup right now are replacement level, but I mean, some of them are closer to AHL guys than NHL guys. So.
Well, the reality is they all should be, majority of them should be fourth line players in the NHL.
Yeah, which is close anyway. So
yeah,
it's interesting stats from NHL Injury Viz, and I think I just kind of wanted to bring it up just to point the fact out that really, if you look at the situation, the 10-game losing streak, it's not the same as previous years just because of the injuries in general, as they're a main cause in my mind. If you took out 5 top 6 forwards out of any team in this league, I'd love to see what they would look like for a 10-game period. Probably not the best, most likely. I don't know if it'd be a 10-game losing streak, but I'm going to guess it's probably not winning records for most teams in the league if you're going to take away that much. Also, to add into just with the injuries, it's a lot of trickle down, like you were saying, Yariv, and it mainly is you have guys playing in positions where they typically, like you were saying, they'd be a fourth liner. So if you're a fourth liner, you're usually playing guys.
Why are people expecting the power play to be killing you right now?
Pretty much. When you're a fourth liner, you're usually playing the other fourth line, right?
I guess it should be okay, typically.
But either way, right? You're usually playing the other fourth line. Right now, they're playing potentially second line guys, third line guys they usually would not play against that are at a higher talent level, and thus you see the results on the ice, right? They're in over their head in a lot of situations, a lot of matchups. But the thing is, they're trying hard. They're keeping themselves in games. That's how you know the effort's there, because they're getting outmatched in these talent situations, but they're still managing to hang around in games. That's right?
Morgan Frost our top center right now.
Yeah, which is crazy. Which some people didn't even have penciled in as a number 3.
He has less points than Noah Cates.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Just the situation with the injuries, man. That's what explains it for me. There's nothing else. It's not the effort. It's not the coaching. It's just
look,
There's too many guys out of their lineup.
does that mean that this team fully healthy is like a playoff contender?
I don't even think.
I think they make a wild card spot.
Personally, me, healthy, I didn't think they would make the playoffs. I thought they would be close, but I didn't think they would make it. And I still agree with that. Like, they would be around that. With Coots, I think they'd be right on the door, but it depends. Okay. I'd have to see him after the surgeries to make my assessment.
Yeah, well, that's a whole different. Yeah,
that's the only thing. If it's
now we're in a different.
If it's pre-injury, I'd say they're probably making it. Well, but I don't know how he's going to be now. So.
Look, I think that's kind of where this all stands. Let's just throw out some quick news here. If you guys didn't hear, though, this would be like the next day already. Is that TK is on the IR. Zamula called up for the game, the next game against the Islanders on Tuesday. It'll be tonight if you're listening to this. And then D'Angelo was out during practice today out of the line. Zamula filled in, and then Ristolainen played top pairing. Braun second pairing. But listening to Torts, he expects D'Angelo to play. I'm not convinced of that. I think there's a good chance D'Angelo's not playing, and those will be the defense. Yeah,
Zamula might draw in.
Yeah. No, I think he said Zamula is definitely in, but one of the other veterans will sit. Okay. In replacement of that. And I think with the fact that you just had D'Angelo sit out a game for being injured, you might want him to play, but like you might be like, give him another day off. Like, we don't know how he's going to be tomorrow, so. Or tonight or whatever, but I think there's a chance of that. We'll see. And then the other update is that Atkinson nearing a return. Tortorella said he's not in for the Tuesday game. I would be surprised if he's in this week, personally. I know that they're saying near return or on the brink. I saw he was taking a little bit of contact today. I'm just not that optimistic that he's going to come back quickly, but it is a good sign. Because
I agree.
Maybe he will be back fast. I'm very hesitant with injuries right now.
It's something to point to, and also you don't want to rush a guy, and then have him, re-injure. It's still puzzling. Well, not puzzling to me, but it's still interesting to me that they asked Atkinson today what the injury was, and he still didn't divulge anything. He just said, it's a body injury, which
multiple.
I understand it, because you don't want to give that information out. It can always get targeted. You're in a professional sport. You never know what pieces of information the other teams are keying in on about certain players. That's something you got to factor in. But I'm thinking if he's going to make a return, you're probably right that it'll be on the weekend or either next week.
It's also, once you open up Pandora's box and tell people what the injury is, they will bring it up to you every single game.
He probably doesn't want to do that.
They'll be like, how's your hip? So. How's your shoulder? How's your feet? Oh, did you miss that play because of your hip or your shoulder? Yeah.
He wants to deflect that. I don't blame him.
Yeah. That's just a human thing. But, I will say that is a positive note. I guess to bring it all home on the injury front, where my attitude stands, I have not changed my opinion from last time. Until I see Sean Couturier play, and I said this, I don't think that they're a playoff team without Sean Couturier. I think with him, they are. Again, fully healthy. I'm not talking about Ellis. They're healthy. I don't see that happening right now. I really do not. I don't see a pathway to that happening. And even if it happens, like trickling these guys in over the season and guys like start getting healthy at some point, that still doesn't make us a playoff team. I think realistically, and I'm actually kind of thinking that this is where the Flyers are, which is why you only saw waiver wire pickups, why you didn't see any trades, you don't see any reactions, you don't see any big kind of movements, because I think the Flyers kind of went, yeah, this was what we were worried was going to happen. It looks like it's going to happen. This is the strongest draft potentially in NHL history, which if you really break it down, I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. Like now all of a sudden I'm seeing like Leo Carlson is up there above Mitch Cobb. I don't know if that's real. But you know what I'm saying?
Well, there's rumblings of it. Yeah.
We're talking about like potentially 3 generational players inside of a draft. Like this is not normal. So if you're going to be bad, like set yourself up. Like let's do it right this time.
This is the time. Yeah.
And now I worry saying that because I worry about stupid trades, and Fletcher is capable of that. But I don't think it even requires moving that much. It actually requires more, not adding, finding out these solutions at the end, and really get like this draft is important. And I'm not talking about adding all the first round picks you can get. Yeah, that'd be cool. But we already know the home run's at the top there. So You want to get within that window. If you can get Connor Bedard, okay? And I'm not saying that we should shoot for him. I don't know how likely it is, but overnight your franchise will change. If you can get a Fantilli, overnight the attitude will change. Same with Michkov, right? Even if it does take a little bit, the attitude will change. It's a start, We have to start building that into this because we can't continue to rely on injured players to come back. Now, it does not include TK for me, right? Like, I know he's coming back. I know
it's
what
like a 1 week, 2 week thing.
Yeah, like, I don't want to move TK. I don't want to move Provorov. I don't want to move D'Angelo or even Sanheim. But there's a bunch of other guys that'd be willing to move. You know what I mean? There's some younger guys I want to keep, right? Farabee, Tippett, right? But there's Kevin Hayes. Does he want to be here long term? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Right?
It might be enticing. I would say with Hayes, right? Like, it's a two-way street. Like, it's enticing with the contract. He's also playing really well in terms of the offense. So you got to weigh both options, right?
Absolutely. We know JVR is going to be on the market with 100%, and he's finally going to move on. Like, there are things to do here, and you can either wait till the end and be like, oh, and honestly, I get that too. I understand that also in like a wait and see, because I know everybody says they figured out this team, but everybody's pretending like the team that won in the beginning the season is the same team on the ice that is playing now, and that's just not true. So I don't know if they're good enough to even sneak into the playoffs. I don't think so, right?
Yeah.
And I think, again, healthy, I think they could have. Not healthy, and
the thing is,
see that at all.
You were saying, Yariv,
I don't see it at all.
Even if you start
to get lineup.
Not with this lineup, I would say they're nowhere close. They're likely bottom 5 or bottom 3 even.
With this offense, this is the worst offense in the NHL.
Yeah.
On paper right now.
I'd agree, yeah.
Right? And I'm not talking with the injuries, I'm saying. Not with TK and all the other guys. Okay, fine. We got some scorers now, Atkinson, like, these guys can put the puck in the net. They can create opportunities, but like right now, the team that's out there right now, that is the worst offense in the NHL.
Yeah, they're pretty bad, and
easily.
I mean, it's
sorry, guy. I love the Flyers, but I mean, I can name every team that has a better offense than them, and it's all other 31.
It's really tough with the injuries like that, because even if they start getting healthy, like you were saying, and they slowly, one by one start coming back, like we were kind of talking. Yeah, that's
assuming that they don't get injured in between there. Exactly. When D'Angelo's already injured.
That's if, right? So, like, let's say hypothetically that were to happen. We were even talking about it earlier, right? This team's probably only in that mix on a bubble or near that wild card spot if they're healthy altogether for a full season, right? Because you're going to need that full team to be able to squeak out points, win certain games, which they don't have, and they haven't had. So even if you start to slowly get guys back, it's never going to kind of get back to that point that you were looking at. It's already too much.
Exactly. You're not aligning first. It's already so insurmountable that for you to blindly move in through the season to be like, well, we'll make it through. I don't really believe the Flyers are doing that.
No,
I don't think the Flyers are doing it. I think they're kind of like, let it ride. It's fine.
It's a wait. Well, it's definitely a wait and see and evaluative for me.
What are they going to? Well, I'm saying, what are they going to do now?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's more just, you know what? Let's see what our younger guys have when we start to get a little healthier. If we start to get a little healthier, we'll filter in some more of these other guys. Even Torrell said it's important for us. He said in this presser today about Zamula, like, it's important for us to start developing another player. Like,
I think York is about to get called up too, dude.
I could see it for York as well. I think even Forster, I don't know if he's going to get called up, but he's having a good showing. It's possible.
Well,
I think I was back to the point. Sorry. Like, I think essentially it's mainly just trying to evaluate like what you have, and then seeing, like you were saying, who doesn't fit, who can you get rid of, who do you think the team would be better served to move on from, and then use those assets to kind of look in a different direction as to, okay, this is our identity. Let's use the assets now and add to the identity that we know we want to build.
Yeah. Right? Like, I'm sure rumors of Provorov and all that stuff are going to start piling up again. Like, because he's got the value. There's always a new reason to trade everybody. I don't think that's the guy you move here. I think what you do is you try to shed as much of the average salary as you can. You have all year to do it. Maybe Risto is going to be a difficult one. Fine. Okay. But Ellis is out. Ellis is done. Yeah. Let's be honest. He's not coming back. Okay. If he does come back, that is only a win for us, but it's not happening. We're not that strapped against the cap. We don't even know what's going on with Couturier. Like, we're strapped right now for where we stand as a team. Fine, but okay, let's understand we're not going to be a playoff team. Even if we are, we're scratching into the playoffs, getting, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. It's still great to make the playoffs for the organization. If we can make it, trust me, the organization is going to want to do it. But you have to look at your
you got to look at the reality of the situation.
We're not built. We're only built to be healthy. There is no contingency plan in the lineup. There isn't.
That's, I mean, on Chuck Fletcher, and I wrote an article.
That's what I was saying. That's where it falls on the.
Yeah, I wrote an article this weekend, and I kind of touched on Fletcher's lack or lack thereof in terms
of purpose, dude.
Yeah, he likely might have done it on purpose. I mean, there's been differing reports that the team didn't really have a direction like they wanted. They were in on Gaudreau, then they weren't in on Gaudreau, and they wanted to go this way and that way. That's the thing that it's hard for me to know what they were actually trying to do, but because we're not there ultimately, so who knows? But it's just like, if you already had an inkling for me that potentially this could happen again with the injuries, I don't know, just that, like, we even talked about it last week, so it probably sounds like a repeat, but like, not addressing the centers is just, I'm never going to understand it.
Well, we talked about it in the offseason.
Yeah,
we talked about it all offseason, dude. You were screaming about Dylan Strome from the start.
I know.
Kubalik, you brought up on here. You guys didn't take one shot on one of these guys. No. Like, even bringing in Bellows. He's not a center.
No, they need a center.
Yeah. I get it. Like, I get wanting Delorier. I like him. I actually like him more than I thought I did. I like him a lot, to be honest. I like McEwen. I like all these guys. I disagree with people. They are NHL players. They're not AHL players.
No,
but they are
just not top six guys.
NHL role players for physical roles. They do not come into the equation with producing offense on a regular basis. That's not their role. We are stacked in that department. Stacked. Why are we building more of that? Even Bellows, who's got an upside in skill, don't get me wrong, he does have a scoring touch, right? He's a really good bottom six option right now, just like Allison would be, right? These guys who are physical, Lawton, guys who are physical and can score. But come on, like, that's not what this team is short on.
You can't just
Frost
keep adding,
is what this team is short on, and
pretty
Frost
much
hasn't lived up to his expectations.
You need creative guys.
Sorry, Frosty.
You can't just keep adding the same type of player and then assume that, okay, let's put them all together and see what happens. It's just going to be what you see now, where it's just guys, okay, let's dump it in. Let's see if we can get in on a forecheck, but it's just who's there to make that play when you need it to really create a scoring chance. That's just what they don't have.
Yeah, like Noah Cates is not a play driver. I love him.
No.
I think he would actually have a lot more points if this team could actually move the puck. Yeah. You know what I mean? I wish he was playing with Sean Couturier. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I saw in my head. Couturier and TK or something, or Atkinson. Like, that's the finishing touch on a line like that. Like, these lines are not together. They're not there. It's the talent's not there.
Case in point, I mean, you have Lucas Sedlak as your first line center almost, technically.
I was actually just about to bring him up.
Yeah, like, and he's been playing awesome, and he's been a waiver.
He's a great role player.
Yeah, but he shouldn't be centering Hayes and Farabee right now.
When we were semi healthy and he showed up and he was playing that bottom six, that center bottom fourth role, he looked really good. And even now, I think he's done an all right job. And that,
scored last game.
The guy can skate. He is an NHL caliber player. He's just a role player. That's what he is. He's a pretty decent role player. And like, great, we have another one, but we already have a bunch of those guys. Lazinski is also in that category. You know what I mean? Lazinski can play an NHL game. Yeah. You know, he's obviously too good for the AHL, but it's like, again, how many of these guys can we afford to have in the lineup?
What I will say, and I mean, we shit on Fletcher for not addressing the depth. I'll give him credit that the team has an overabundance of fourth liners, so he addressed that, and I think it was more based around the fact that last season they did not have that, and they suffered a ton of injuries, and you couldn't add in a guy like a Sedlak, like a Lasinski. Like,
I think he really thought Coots was coming back, dude.
He definitely did, but I mean, so did we all, right?
Dude, I don't think people really realize how big of a loss like Coots is to this team.
They really do. That's the thing, right? Like, people, I think they haven't seen him play so long, so they're kind of starting to underrate and forget his ability and what he can really do for a team.
Yes. But it's not just that; it's the most important role on your team.
Yeah, it's your number one center on a team
that drives everything on your team.
Okay,
like not having a quarterback in football.
Pretty much not having not having a quarterback, not having a good point guard in basketball. Same same effect. Like
Yeah,
this is the thing though. If you're the Flyers of like
such a
I don't
huge
know,
role.
if you're the Flyers of hypothetically 10 years ago, let's say, where Mike Richards goes down, but you have Jeff Carter, Daniel Briere, and a young Claude Giroux, it's not really a big deal.
Yep.
But you have Sean Couturier going down, and all you have is Kevin Hayes coming off a double hernia. It's a big deal. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like if
and
they
now that
had,
his whole supporting cast is also out.
yeah, exactly.
Like
Like
every depth around him is also not there.
that's what I mean, right? So like if you had somebody else that could, like if you had two other three C's that could slot in and play average for you, you might have a better chance. But it's just not the case right now.
For instance, if Giroux was on this team and it was this health team and he had 22 points, we'd be like, "Yo, Claude Giroux's the only one doing anything on this team, right?"
Instead of
So
shitting on
yeah,
Kevin Hayes for every
yeah,
22 points in 22 games. Yeah.
yeah. No, I agree. He hasn't played his best hockey too, which is the
No, he
interesting
hasn't.
part.
He's had some
But
bad games, but I just think there's a lot of pressure on him right now, man. And
it's
like
just,
you could say it's professional sports, he should live up to the contract, live up to
I
the pressure,
guess,
but
yeah.
there's only so much one guy can do on a hockey team. Case in point,
Especially a guy who is never a top end player in the league either.
no, never. Exactly.
Like
The
people were
highest
still
points he's
debating whether
ever
he was a second or third line center,
yeah, exactly. To start the season, people were saying, "Oh, on a really good team, he's probably a third line center," which
which I didn't
you could
agree
make.
with.
I didn't agree with. You could make the argument though for, which is
Yeah.
crazy to think that now that guy's your only center that you really have.
On a championship caliber team, I could see him being a
Yeah,
third
like on
line
a Colorado, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like behind McKinnon and Kadri, you would have
Yeah,
had
except I mean, but that's the type of team they had too.
exactly.
We can name some other teams around the league who have center depth like that. In fact, the Flyers used to have center depth like that.
Yeah, they don't
That used
right
to be
now. It's
that used to be the
unfortunate.
organization's strength. And we were a playoff team all those years. Funny how that is ignored right now.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, dude. I am very ready for a new GM. Like extremely ready. I was talking to Jamie, and Jamie doesn't think so. He's like he thinks the chaos during the season is bad, and I agree with him. But if Fletcher was fired tomorrow, I'd be like, all right, it's go time. But that means they have somebody picked. It's not
Pretty
you
much.
fire and you do an acting GM. That's stupid.
Well,
I agree with Jamie on that. If that's what you're doing, then that's dumb.
No, my thoughts
finish
is
out the year.
if they're getting ready to fire Fletcher,
They're not. They're not. This
No,
was already in the cards, dude.
I don't think they are, to be honest, because I mean it doesn't seem like there's anything
Dude, they didn't.
pointing to that direction. But if they were, I mean, it's probably Briere who's next. That's my opinion. But
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I just don't think the Flyers did much to actually improve themselves in the offseason.
no,
So I
they
can
didn't.
only outside of the D'Angelo, which I still think was a great ad.
I thought it was a good pickup. Yeah.
But that's the only move of significance they made, and that just says a lot. Like when you finish at the bottom of the league and you only add one guy and say, "Hey, we'll wait and see." Like they're saying to you, this is like what I was saying earlier. It's like they're just straight up saying to you, like, we don't believe in this team. Otherwise, we would invest more. We do more. But they don't believe in this squad to some extent. They don't believe in them to win a championship. They don't believe that they have the core figured out here. So it is what it is. What I would hope, though, is that as these injuries compile, because I don't think, at least not, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they will get healthy and I'll look stupid. But I think this is going to continue happening for the rest of the year to some degree. We'll never really be healthy. We'll never have a number one center. We'll always be short scoring depth. So set yourself up. You know it now. Set yourself up for the strongest draft you can have. This is such a huge draft. You already don't have a second round pick. Like this draft can change your franchise. It has that ability and it's viewable and it's your best odds. It's the highest odds at a game change. And mind you, the whole top of that draft,
talent,
dude, the whole top 10 of that draft are all-star caliber players.
Oh,
like
I
generational to all-star.
Yeah.
From talking to Steve, like he was just like, this draft is insane. Offensively
level,
is insane level of talent.
You hope the Flyers in that case can maybe even get another first round pick. Potentially
How?
with JVR. It's going to be hard, obviously, but
I don't see JVR getting us a first round pick in this draft.
Not in this draft. Yeah, that's the only thing that's going to be tough.
We have our next year's pick that maybe we could to your point,
parlay it.
You know what I mean? Like, well, we want your 2023 and you can have our 2024. and we'll swap that out with you. Like I could see us trying that.
I had an interesting kind of question to pose, and this has nothing really to do with the Flyers, but more about just the draft in general. Like if you're a team, let's say in this draft, and let's say you're in the top 3 now, so that guarantees you like
even top 4.
Yeah, top 4.
You know, well, no, let's say top 3. I agree.
Yeah, let's say you're in the top 3, but you're the 3rd team. What would you trade? Would you trade anything to get to number 1, or would you just take it at number 3?
I would trade for number 1.
You trade for number 1, or try
actually? Look, I think top 3 does not matter. The only problem with the Michkov thing is that he's locked up for the next 4 years, and I don't know how to get him out of there.
That's fair,
now maybe, and I'm on the outside though. If there's a way to get him out of there, I do nothing. But if I have the opportunity out of him or Fantilli, I'm walking away with a humongous fucking. If I can get an Austin Matthews, the caliber player on my team, I'm walking away. Okay, I missed out on McDavid, but I'm still getting a franchise caliber player. I'm happy with that. You know what I mean? But if you can get Bedard,
that's crazy. Yeah.
What do you think it takes? His numbers are ridiculous.
That's what I mean. What do you think it takes? And that was my interesting thought. Like, what do you think?
So is Michkov. They're ridiculous.
Yeah, they're all
ridiculous.
Really
they're ridiculous.
At this point, you could look at it and say, I mean, which 3?
I mean, Carlson's dominating Sweden. This age group is one from every
in a men's league too. Like which you could argue like Russia, which of the 4, which of the 3 are really gonna be the best. But
there's like a generational player from each one of those countries.
Yeah. What do you think it would take?
Russia, Sweden, USA. Fantilli's American, right?
Yeah, Fantilli's American.
Yeah, and then Bedard Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
It's like old times.
What do you think it would take to move up in this draft 2-1? Like if you're the number 1 team, you can get you're moving better.
I think you're moving your best young player probably.
As well? Interesting. Yeah, I would agree.
Like
if the Flyers are at 3, move to 1, they got a
TK.
Yeah, something like I'm thinking like if the Flyers are at 3, if the Flyers are at 3 and they want to move to 1, they are probably
Hart's name would come up.
Yeah, those guys
to get into that range, that top 4 range you're talking about, top 3.
I'm saying you're in the top 3.
Oh, to get
move to 1.
Oh, 1 to get to Bedard, it'd be
more than Lindros.
You're definitely putting that 3rd in, right? Let's say you have.
I'm always wondering because the last time we really had a player of this caliber, I mean, nothing happened in this situation. And usually in the NHL, like you saw Lindros, you see a lot of time, and you noticed it earlier, like in the NHL.
I don't even think it ever happened.
A lot of the time, you'd see people try to trade up. And I wonder if that's going to happen in this draft. I don't think teams are gonna be willing to give it up, but you never know.
I think it's very important to recognize what getting a name like Bedard does to an organization.
Oh, I know.
You can't move assets to create that type of change. Theoretically, like overnight, you're on the front page of every news thing. You're the biggest hockey story all the time. Regardless, you could be the worst team in the league. Doesn't matter. Selling the most jerseys of anybody in the league, right?
Yeah.
Your season ticket holders call that night and buy tickets.
Oh yeah.
Dude, everything changes. Free agents are going, well, do I have a chance to play with Bedard? Right? Or Fantilli or whatever, Michkov, or again, McDavid. Like it doesn't mean that it'll fix all of your problems, but it's a leap.
That's a hell of a lot.
Now, if you offer like, hey, I'll give you Provorov, TK, our 3rd overall, and another 1st round pick, I think a team would be like,
we're stupid.
Do I walk away with Fantilli, TK, Provorov, and another 1st round pick? I'd have to consider it, right?
Yeah.
But even then, as an organization, you have to look at it and be like, this might be one of the best players of all
I know.
time.
I'm always wondering like what the Nordiques thought with that Lindros trade. Like,
well, he didn't want to be there.
I know he didn't want
to be
there.
That's the only reason, though, right? He wouldn't have been traded otherwise.
That's what I mean, right?
And they still got Forsberg, who's
and it's
just
still
like a hair worse.
That's what I mean. Those trades are always interesting to me. Like, and I mean,
they won that trade.
Yeah, I doubt
the Nordiques won the trade.
They won the cup.
They won a championship. Well, not the Nordiques, I guess Colorado, but that group.
They won
that acid group won.
I mean, I kind of miss, I wasn't even alive for that. But
Sundin was part of that.
Yeah,
no, they were on that team.
He was on that team. Yeah,
he was on that team.
Sakic was on that team. Yeah,
it was Mike Ricci was part of that, and Hextall, and I think there was another 1st round pick
Chris
and
Simon,
Cash.
Maybe
Yeah, maybe that was it. And then obviously Peter Forsberg, the number 7 pick in the draft, who was
Yeah.
a steal or was a reach surprise pick because nobody saw it coming.
Might be one of the best passers ever. Get out of here.
I mean, theoretically, like, there's no reason. No, there is. Look, this is what I was saying. Like, you look back at that, is like, would you regret trading for Eric Lindros? Nobody's gonna say yes.
No.
He's the best flyer of all time.
Exactly,
He's not the most winning flyer of all time, but talent
But that's why I wanted to bring.
We all recognize it.
That's why I wanted to bring up the scenario because I just thought it'd be a fun exercise to think about.
Let's be honest, it's in the back of my mind nonstop at this point.
Oh yeah, with the bet art stuff. Like I'd love to see the NHL go that kind of crazy chaos.
We don't have
route.
to finish at 1 to go to get Bedard. Or we don't have to finish at the bottom of the league to get Bedard. The bottom the top pick is not even going to that.
Yeah. You could win the lottery. Usually doesn't go to the worst team, to be honest. If you look at it historically, it usually goes to like 3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah, I know.
That.
Yeah, we need to just be in that range. I showed you a screenshot that I was on
oh yeah.
Yeah, and the Flyers
draft simulator, and we got Bedard.
Well, again, if this is our lineup, which I don't know yet, I don't want to panic and be like, "This is our team," and that's
for the rest of the season.
Because if they get healthy, they could start sneaking some games in where they are a bubble team anyway. And this is stuff that people were afraid of. Is that like they're not that bad?
Well, you still gotta
unhealthy.
You still gotta factor in like. My dad's a huge Flyers fan as well, so like we'll watch some games every once in a while. And he was even talking to me and kind of saying, you know, like they're real bad right now, but they're still really only 6 points out. Like if they find a win here or there, and they get a couple of guys back, like you never know what's going to happen.
Look,
and you never know what other teams are going to go on a 10-game streak too.
Like seriously, think about the different guys. I mean this honestly. I know that people are kind of playing this off like it shouldn't really matter. But think about if you inject the amount of talent that we're talking about into these games that you watched, where the Flyers are they're down by a goal. They're down by even 2 goals. You don't think that having Atkinson, TK, Lawton, Couturier, these guys wouldn't completely change the dynamic?
Oh my God, man, that Islander
every game would be different.
Every game would be different. Just
every game. They'd be in every game.
Different situations, different matchups. The fact that you can match Sean Couturier against the other team's first line consistently already changes the outcomes, probably. But
right, no, you're absolutely right. But the reality is, we're not living in that reality.
No,
we don't know if that's. I don't even know if that's possible. And that's where I'm like, okay, well, I'm just looking at that even if I get these guys all together, they're going to be banged up. They're going to come in piece by.
They haven't played together.
Some other might fall. Yeah, some other might fall as we get closer to that finish line. I just don't want.
It's too far away.
I'm okay with wait and see right now. You know, I don't think they have much of a choice still. But eventually, you will have to be aggressive with this and set yourself up because we know where it's going right now.
Yeah, and you also have to have next season in mind, right? You got to be building for next year and think, okay, well, you know what? Who of these injured guys are we keeping? Who are we not?
Well, what do you think about Farabee and Tippett of late?
I mean, this is the thing with those younger guys. Like they haven't been as good as they have been probably at the beginning of this losing streak. You're seeing some of their play wind down a little bit, I think. But also you got to factor in too, like I was saying, now they're kind of being relied upon as the
top guys,
offensive guys,
with changing lines. And
all this. With changing lines, and I don't care what anybody says personally. Like from playing, like if you put any lines in the blender and you're just like changing lines, playing, even though you're on the same team, like it takes a while to build chemistry with guys that you're playing with on the line, knowing where they're going to be, like just their cues on the ice.
Sorry to cut you off, but to your point, don't you think Tortorella knows what you're saying?
Yeah, of course he does.
So do you think he's not, again, I don't believe he's coaching to lose games.
No, he's not actively changing the lines and putting them in the blender because he wants to. He's just doing it because they can't score any goals. So he's like, I got to figure something out.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't think he was expecting this either.
He's throwing darts at the board, man. He's like, these guys aren't scoring tonight. Let me try this.
He's trying to be so nice. And I noticed people are like jumping on him because he's not like calling the players. Guys,
what do you think?
What do you want him to say? He knows they're not talented enough to beat the teams. He's going out there and telling them, "Hey, do your role." They're winning puck battles. They're playing physical. You look at the hits. They're doing the bottom role things in the game.
Yeah,
but that's their game.
When you're calling guys out that are already playing above their weight level, and then they're
Way
playing,
above.
yeah, way above, and they're playing decently. Like that's not going to be a good scene in the locker room. First of all, that's going to create resentment amongst your players.
Yeah, because
and
what
it's
do you
also
want?
going to, what do you want them else
Squeeze
to
out of them?
do?
What are you squeezing out of them? I'm sorry to cut you off, but
The confidence too, right? You're just going to break their confidence down.
it,
So that's the last thing he's going to want to
well,
do.
it's very it's very different between like going, hey, I want more out of you, TK, than being like, hey, I want more out of you, Nick
or
Delorier.
fucking Patrick Brown. Like,
Or yeah, Brown, why aren't you taking more shots on it? What's going on, dog? Like
I've never scored more than
not
like
his
10
game.
points in
Yeah.
my career, like in a season.
In fact, I would argue we have one player in the lineup that is an actual NHL point. Well, two, Farabee and Hayes.
Yeah.
Tippett has never done it till recently.
Yeah, exactly.
He's showing it now. But that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Name a lineup you've seen like that on the Flyers before, Vasili, once. And then people are asking, are the Flyers tanking? What is the difference? Yeah, none of their players are healthy, and they're not adding other talent. They didn't go.
Whether it's intentional or not, they're tanking.
They're telling you straight up, look, we're gonna let it ride.
See what happens. But to your point, and just with Farabee and Tippett, like I was saying, I mean, they're not playing the best, but when you put two younger guys, one who's 21 in Farabee and a guy who's 23 in Tippett, and say, well, you're the best two wingers on our team now, produce every night, it's going to be hard, right? Like, they're still learning the league. There's still certain things they can improve on within their game, certain things they can develop. They're not fully developed players. Contrary to many people's belief, it's not a linear thing. Like, we saw Tippett have a good week. It doesn't mean he's just going to skyrocket from here on, right? There's going to be some downs, but there's going to be some ups as well. Same thing for Farabee. I think Farabee, you're honestly seeing him kind of come around. I think he's been a little bit better versus the first couple
producing
weeks.
every night.
Yeah, he's been producing pretty consistently. Even Tippett too. Like he's not a point a game, but he's doing pretty well. I think those guys, you'll see them play better as kind of they get more accustomed to this role, right? Because they're probably playing a lot more ice than they usually would. I mean, Tippett's getting first power play usage. When has he ever gotten that in his career? I'd argue that's probably conducive to his game. But even for Farabee, he's getting top PK rotation minutes too, where probably you'd have a Couturier, Atkinson ahead of him. Like, there's just so much trickle down when you don't have guys playing in the right positions. Then it all just compounds.
Well, I mean, Lawton and TK were doing great for us on the PK.
On the PK, and that's a whole unit gone out. Yeah.
And TK was just put on the IR. I know they gave him a timetable to come back.
It's retrospective, though. It's retroactive. It's like they wanted to get Zamula in there, so they need to put him on IR.
I know. I'm just nervous about these like dates of coming back,
because it's hard, especially when there's been so much negativity surrounding the injuries, and you see like, oh, he's supposed to come back, and then he just never does, and you're like, well, you got to look at Atkinson, I guess, as the positive. But.
Yeah, I know. Well, as Bowdy's come up, I guess we can talk a little bit about the Phantoms, who they continue winning. And again, we don't need to go too much like into the Phantoms' performance, a game by game basis, all that. But I did want to bring up some like performers that I think we should talk about. Ole Lixell, he had 1 goal, 3 assists the other game. Game that the Flyers dominated. One that
Ole squad was sweet.
Then Anisimov also had 2 goals, 1 assist. Again, one that puts him at 11 points in 10 games, a 1.1 goals per game, first year in the AHL. He's 23 years old. Already got a look from the Flyers earlier in the season. I mean, I would anticipate he's going to get a call up very soon.
At some point,
that is, I mean, quite frankly, it's a little ridiculous that he produced that much so quickly. Yeah. We'll see. I think a team that's struggling to score. This is a guy. He's got a higher offensive upside than some guy like Willman. I like again a repeat of it's a grinder. Great, Patrick Brown, a grinder.
On a fourth line, you can get by with those guys, but if you're asking them to score goals for you, it's going to be tough sledding, right?
Right. So I would say maybe Ole Lixell will get a look there.
He's played in the SHL and produced pretty nicely. So,
he's been playing against men already.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that factors into like some of the other younger guys like a Desnoyers or Forster, where they might want to give him more time.
Yeah. The age definitely matters there. And actually, just to point that out, because I like that you just brought that up. You look at the Phantoms' top 5 point producers. Excuse me, this is total points, not points per game. But number 1, Tyson Forster, 5 goals, 7 assists, 12 points, 16 games. Cam York, number 2, 12 points, 16 games, 3 goals, 9 assists. Lixell is number 3, 11 and 10 points. Denoyer 9-16, Adard 9-16. And if you just think about that top five, the fact that it's led by all young Flyers prospects, it is a good sign. Other guys are obviously contributing down there, but the Phantoms do look to be a force. They're finally healthy and getting their lineup together. I would imagine if this continues, the Phantoms probably will be one of the better teams in the AHL, and in a playoff position, which is very important for this organization because they need
for the
winning at some level, as well.
It's important for the development, I think, just down there because you're building a winning culture in the minors, and you can foster that into your main team as well. And it also helps the young guys, right? Playoff hockey is important. Playing games that matter and that are, matter with every shift as you go is important, right? You got to develop those skills and be able to play in those situations. So doing it at a lower level isn't going to hurt. I have a couple just to end off, like before we get into our kind of last topic here.
Sure.
Just random stats, kind of a little all over the place, but I thought they're just interesting tidbits. So we were talking about Joel Farabee earlier. 2018 NHL draft class career goal leaders. He's actually third. So Andrei Svechnikov.
It's not even surprising.
It's not surprising, but I imagine a lot of people probably wouldn't have thought. I mean, 102 goals for Svechnikov to be first. Second, Brady Tkachuk, 98, and then you have Farabee at third with 50. So good on Joel for that.
I love that you just brought that up. It's funny. I was just thinking about Farabee today because I was thinking about how well Jack Hughes was doing in his position. Did you say of forwards? Because Quinn Hughes and Rasmus Dahlin are up there too.
Yeah, it's for forwards. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, but he's right up there with them.
Yeah.
But to your point, I was thinking about Joel Farabee and how people underestimate like Jack Hughes, for instance, and now Jack Hughes is like killing it, and everybody expects but it's like that crop of like American players are like slowly rising up through the NHL.
Oh yeah.
With Zegras and like you're gonna hear more of these names like York. Like they're not all gonna show up day one and be rock stars. But you'll see they're going to be star players.
There's a reason why that USN TDP team was one of the best of all time because they had a lot. And
obviously
of really
Oliver Wahlstrom over there. We know Boldy. Obviously we mentioned Zegras. There's Beecher who's out there too. Spencer Knight's out there. He's a goalie. He's already in the NHL. It's like they just have so many good prospects throughout the league. And I think Joel Farabee is in the cream of the crop. I think like where Zegras is a very skilled, dynamic playmaker guy, Joel Farabee is like the best you can get in America's program from like that two-way forward goal scorer. Like that's why I called him like the Jonathan Taves type. I still stand by what I said. Taves meets Gagne type of vibe.
It's definitely close just because, I mean, you have that prowess, but then you also have his, defensive acumen, but just the ability on the ice to kind of read the plays too, where he's kind of going into positions that the puck's going there before it even gets there, and he has that hockey sense to him.
I'm looking at the stats that you were talking about too. It's like, man, he's played a lot less games than some of the top guys. Yeah. And it's like, man, it's because of the injuries.
Yeah, he's been injured.
You know what I mean?
He's had some injuries, unfortunately.
He had that big one, which obviously took him out for a while.
You got to hope that after the neck surgery now he's kind of injury-free to go forward. Then another interesting one that speaks to the injuries, just for stats, is there's a chart put out by JFresh Hockey, and it's percentage of game time leading by a team. The Flyers are third last. Only Chicago and Anaheim are worse, which is very surprising. But they've only led 20% of the time in games so far, which with the injuries isn't very expected. It's interesting, though, the Rangers are fourth last on the list at 21%, and they're a very good team. So I wonder if you see some of that start to break down for them, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the Rangers don't have a great record right now. I think they're like 10-8-4.
They're outside of a playoff spot, I believe.
So I don't know. I find all of this stuff intriguing because like I love that. Like, remember the Flyers spanked New Jersey at the beginning of this year, and people are like, that win doesn't even matter. New Jersey's not good.
Look how good they are, literally.
I don't know. My whole thing is like, I don't think the Flyers are that bad healthy. I do think they're a playoff team healthy.
I don't think they're too bad healthy.
But
either.
We haven't seen them healthy for a couple years, and we can't bet on.
Yeah, you
can't bet on this anymore. We can't bet on it.
On the health.
You with the opportunity again, I don't know what the Flyers are gonna do, but I am sold on the like, hey, let's go for this draft. Like, I'm not saying to stop play. I want to see guys still succeed, but again, I'm looking at the team. It doesn't matter. You can play every guy we have available healthy in maximum optimal positions. You're not winning many games. You
Not when you have
cannot win
these
with this
many guys.
offense.
Yeah, not when you have these many guys out on forward,
You
man. It's just
can't win with this
insurmountable.
offense, and I
It's
don't anticipate
insurmountable.
they'll be healthy. So let's.
No,
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I
Go
was
ahead.
just gonna say to end off.
Yep.
Did you want to get into?
Well, I want to talk about Anisimov real
Oh,
quick.
yeah, sure.
Just so people are aware, he is not signed by the team. So while he is, I think it's on a PTO or he has an AHL contract, he can play in the AHL, but he cannot play in the NHL yet.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going to happen with him. I assume they want him to play a little bit more, like maybe not just have a one-off game. Like they really want to see, okay, the 2 goals and 1 assist. That's dominant. He has been dominating. Like, but is that really you? And if he is, Flyers really need a center.
yeah, they
And
could use him. So
the history, like Anisimov in his prime, is kind of exactly what this team needs. Not exactly what it needs, but it would be immensely helpful right now.
yeah,
Um, More than Sedlak and all that. Like this is a guy who has produced in the NHL. At what half a point per game pace,
yeah,
if
exactly.
not more at some point. So I
Well,
don't know. I'm intrigued.
if they can get him into the lineup, it just helps in a lot of areas because obviously the center depth and the matchups. You have another veteran center you can play and
Yeah.
deploy out who's been in these situations before, who's been in these, um, particular defensive matchups, whereas some of these other younger guys might have not been. And then that's where you get, some of the struggles in certain cases. Whereas with an Anisimov, you might not get that.
He's
So I
also
think if
6'4".
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You get him in there behind Hayes, and then you get Lawton back, who looks like he'll probably be back in a couple of weeks. You at least have three centers that have played in the NHL for a while. So that's the positive, right? Like they don't
Yeah.
really have anybody
It
other than Hayes right now.
it
So
is very disappointing that Hayes is not able to be playing center right now because he has not
yeah,
played well enough defensively.
yeah,
It's
it's
unfortunate.
puzzling. It's puzzling. I mean, I see why Tortorella does it. And frankly, I mean, he probably can produce more offense from the wing. Like you're seeing the last couple of games where you're
Yeah,
seeing
without a
different
doubt.
looks. They need it. So I guess they're going to keep rolling with it until they get other centers back, unfortunately.
It's just a team without any centers, and your top center, you're already moving to wing.
It's a crazy.
Not a
It's
great
crazy.
look.
No,
It's not a great
definitely
look.
not.
All right, let's get on our last topic here. This is your topic, Vasili. So we'll give you that shout out here. So the question is, can you build a uh can you build a winning culture or willing culture?
Winning culture.
Okay, winning culture and strong locker room when you're consistently losing. I think it's an excellent question. I'll let you lead it off, Vasili. What do you think?
It's hard, obviously, because this is my dissection of it. Is I think yes, you can, but only to a certain point. And I think the Flyers are almost reaching that limit where they're going to need to start winning a couple of games here, just for the sake of John Tortorella being able to point to certain things he wants to point to instill the culture. And I mean, Tortorella's whole thing and his whole shtick, his whole culture shtick is work hard. I'm going to reward you. Do the little things right, clean up these habits in your games that like I kind of want you to play towards and play and ascribe to, and we're going to be hunky dory, and that's kind of what he's trying to set, right? A culture of this is what I demand for my standard. This is me meeting it. This is me playing to that standard on a nightly basis,
Yeah,
and doing that is gonna end up in the team getting rewarded. Where right now, I mean, they're trying to follow that mold and the injuries are not letting them, but the team is still trying to work as hard. He's still demanding the same work from players, the same effort, the same detail in their game, but it's hard to call guys out on that every single night when you're losing, and for it not to go in one ear and out the other eventually, right? I think that's where the challenge comes for Tortorella. I think it is very hard to build a winning culture if you consistently, consecutively lose, and it's to this extent. I think they need to definitely win a couple of games in there and start feeling good about themselves just to help with that. Because there's going to be a certain point where guys are going to say, well, we're listening to you, coach. We're listening to you, but we're still losing every game, right? So
I
it's a hard situation all
yeah.
around.
No, I'm sorry to cut you off there. No, I agree. I think the thing that I think the players themselves are also, they've hinted at
They're
it.
aware, probably. Yeah.
They're aware. Like, I think they're disheartened because they're like, damn, like our guys who can score are out of the lineup. Like, I know what my role is. I'm doing my role. They
Yeah.
know, they want Atkinson there. They want TK. Like, they recognize, like, yeah, I'll free up space for you. I'll fight for the front of the net. I'll do all that. But we need to get, like, they're not
We either
blind.
got to come in and pick the corner and rip it in.
Yeah, we don't have enough of these guys in the lineup. I think so. I love your question. I think it's a great question, and I think it's in the back of everybody's mind. I think the reality is, it will be, like you said, absolutely, it's considerably more difficult. I think the key to doing it is to play the long game in your messaging and in your process. And I'll be honest with you, I think that's what the Flyers are doing.
I think Tortorella's already doing that.
I think the Flyers were doing that before he showed up.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. And I think Tortorella is adding to that. And I think obviously he agrees with it. That's why he took the job. I don't think he expected to be missing Couturier and all these guys. I think he thought, okay, we can be like a middle of the road team and they can add me some more young guys and I'll slowly build my culture. But again, the key, I think he always knew that this would take a long time. Like, I think in his mind, even with the same group, he's like, this year there'll be a certain good, but next year I expect them to be even better just based off our natural process. The key to a lot of this, where I don't agree with people about, like, get rid of everybody. It's like, okay, let's say you get Connor Bedard. Do you really want him to walk into the locker room and have to play with Delorier and McEwen on his wings?
Yeah,
no, you don't
want some talent for the kid. Exactly.
You want him to walk in and play with Travis Konechny. You want him to come in and play with Konechny and Farabee, and you're like, oh my God, look at this line. Like, that's what you want to do. So I think the winning thing is the messaging from within the organization. You say, hey guys, this is where we are as a culture. We have a lot of spots up for grabs. This is going to be a painful experience for everyone. Grit in, break your teeth, and whoever survives will be part of the future. They all recognize what's going on around them. None of them are blind to what their role and what their potential is in the NHL. They might think that maybe they're a little bit better or whatever, or maybe they should be in the NHL, or maybe they should be a line up, but they're not confused as far as like what their overall maximum potential is, right? They kind of know that to some degree. So like, I think these players are trying to find their way, and the opportunities available to them can make it a positive thing. Be like, hey guys, we don't expect you to win this year. We're not doing that, but we are expecting you to earn these roster spots.
We want you to work hard. We want you to put the habits in.
And I think,
show me that you want to be here.
Well, and I think that's why these bottom six guys, I actually agree with Torts. I don't think they're that fazed by it. I think in their mind, they're like, we're used to losing. We're used to being the guys who are not scoring enough. But we don't normally get this much ice time, this much opportunity. So I think that's where it keeps it positive for them, is that they're getting the ice time. They're not getting shredded by the coach. Like they're putting in the work. So he's saying, hey, look, this is what I'm asking. I'm asking them to play their roles. So I think that's where the positivity come from to maybe counteract some of that. But I think it really requires that incrementally you must improve. You must come in with a plan this year to show people things are not just with this group, that there's help coming, and the right kind of help. And I think that's why you got to get rid of even some of the veterans and be like, we're going to bring in new veterans, right? Like with a winning attitude, because there hasn't been one here. And people can shit on Drew and Voracek and Simmons, but they did have a winning attitude. They would scratch and crawl that group of underachievers into the playoffs. That we don't have anybody like that on our team right now outside of Couturier, who is not here. You know what I mean? So that is the problem, is that you need the promise of something coming, not just for the fans or for people inside. And I think it requires a long-term message saying people like, this is a process for you guys too. And we're just expecting everybody here, like Tortorella is saying, to work as hard as possible. There's no way the Flyers do not see what we see. There's no way.
I agree 100%.
They're not dumb.
I agree 100%. Just to jump off your point, Yariv, with the messaging, I think Tortorella, you're kind of already seeing him step back in his public media availabilities in terms of his critiquing of players. Like earlier in the season, you kind of see him maybe dunk on somebody a little more easily, versus now where he's saying, I'm not going to call my team, I'm not going to do that, because he wants to make sure that they have the confidence, and that confidence is key in terms of building the culture, right? And and maintaining that positivity in a winning or in a losing environment in the locker room, because it's hard to look for positives and things you can build on as a team when there's not much going right for you in the results area, right?
Look, his call outs are typically to guys that he expects more out of.
Yeah, he expects to bounce back.
But what do people expect more from Zach McEwen? More from
playing his best. They're playing their best. Yeah.
More from Sedlight. These are guys who are bottom
That's
six.
That's why he's not going to critique them. Exactly.
That's his expectations for them, is you guys are doing what I'm asking you to do. The team doesn't have the talent to win. I'm sorry. I normally say that it's not a talent problem. Now it is. The injury, we're already up against the wall, and now it's a talent problem because we don't have enough of it. There's some interesting stuff at play with the young guys, some interesting stuff in NCAA, but we need more than that, and it's going to take, this is the conversation where people agree with people on the knock on the Risto signing, because you look at it now, and you're like, man, we could use that money. Not even the assets, the money and that freedom. So I think that those need to be looked at all year, right? Removing Braun from the lineup at some point.
I'm wondering, if for Aristo too, even if you have to retain even $1 million of his salary to get rid of him, would you do it?
Is 4 years.
It is, but it's only fucking $1 million for 4 more years.
I don't. Maybe. I don't know how much we need the cap space.
Yeah, that's true, right?
I don't know what's.
It depends on the future moves and what's kind of coming down the pipeline. Exactly.
Everything, Matt. Look, that's why I'm saying this is my opinion. Whether the Flyers agree with me or not, I don't know. My opinion. I would be looking at this draft. Even people were like, "Oh, Chicago is tanking for the draft." So far, they're about where the Flyers are, right? Yeah, even Ottawa, right?
And they weren't even trying. Well, Ottawa wasn't even trying to tank. They were trying to win.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. Same with Columbus, right? Yeah. They also have a terrible record, though they have serious injuries as well. They're dealing with something similar than us, right? It's the reality is we're gonna have to play this the smartest way we can, and to get the. That's why I'm okay with sacrificing the season if it sets us up for next year. But I don't think that's happening. I think there's still going to be in wait and see mode, but I think that they are clearly leaning towards not doing anything to help this squad out.
Let it play out.
They would have done it already, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Let it play out.
They would have done it. They would have done it with the Couturier thing. They would have brought in a center.
Yeah, let it play out in this group. Let it play out, see who belongs and who doesn't. See who works themselves into Tortorella's doghouse permanently, and that's because there will be guys that do it. And then that's who you don't want to keep, right?
Can we talk about the doghouse though? Because sure. I noticed that people were saying, and again, this is not a knock on you either, but people are saying Tortorella's doghouse. I don't really believe that he. I mean, look, I think he probably has a doghouse, but I feel like he tries really hard to not take that too seriously because
he doesn't leave you there. He gives you another chance.
But a doghouse means you're not getting out of it, essentially.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He hasn't cornered. Well, no. I'm not trying to jump on your one line. I'm saying it because I'm hearing this a lot, not just not from you, but it's he's not putting a player in a position saying, "I just see that player that way," and that's all he is to me. You're not seeing much of that. You know?
No. He's giving guys a chance to bounce back from their mistakes
almost every time.
Yeah, I think I meant it as in the sense there's going to be certain times this year where there's going to be guys who make mistakes, and Torch is going to single them out and tell them what they are, and he's going to give them a chance to come back, and then they're going to make the same mistakes. Yeah. And then that's what I mean, as in okay, those are the guys that Torch isn't going to keep giving the chances.
To your point, okay, let's go back to the initial question. I think that's where the answer lies. It's when they fail, which they are going to fail a lot right now because they don't have the talent to win. When they fail, it's his reaction and the coaching staff and the organization to that failure. You can make it a whirlwind of negativity for that person where they make a mistake, then the fans jump on them, then the coaches jump on them, then the org jumps on them, and then they're out of town. Or they go, we know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Fight and resist. What we want to see is as this shit keeps throwing on you, that you keep moving forward. There's a saying that I love by this guy named, I think his name is Phillips Brooks. I think is his name. He goes, I do not wish for a lighter load, but a stronger back. Right?
I was going to kind of say that, how much stuff can we throw at you and how much can you keep just forearm shivering it away,
Right. And that's what I think they're trying to build is we want to see that from you guys because and again, I don't even know if they'll say this to people, but internally they must be having this conversation with look, we have enough talent to like do something. We don't have enough talent to win a cup, though.
We need to build a resilient mindset amongst the guys that are still going to be here, I think.
And if you really want to be aggressive, that means you need to have a really explosive offseason, like kind of what New Jersey did, where they had like their young players are healthy. Like they have Sarakovic, who's awesome. They have Brat. Like they have a bunch of young talent, right?
Yeah.
They have McLeod
Dawson
over
Mercer,
there.
man.
Dawson Mercer,
really
right? They have young talent. They have Ty Smith on D. All these guys coming up together, and then they added Palat. Obviously, we all knew that was a great addition. Nobody was blind to that one.
Everybody John Marino too was a good trade.
Right? They added.
I'm still
his
surprised
name?
Pittsburgh. Hamilton.
Yeah, Dougie Hamilton.
I'm still surprised, man, with the Devils that like Pittsburgh traded John Marino to them, basically a first pair guy for them, just in division. Like that was one of the weirdest trades for me.
It's Ron Exel for you.
Or Ty Smith. That's what the trade was for. It was a weird trade.
I mean, Ty Smith's got high. Oh, I forgot that was the trade. Now that you're saying, I completely forgot about it. Well, Ty Smith is. He's
got high upside. I like it for Pittsburgh, but like I would have kept Marino if I was them.
That's a good point. I forgot about that trade. Now you're saying it, but again, that's a team that they might level off, but they're strong down the middle. They added what they needed to add. I don't know if they're actually as good as like we think they are, but
they're a playoff team.
Yeah, they're putting it together for sure right now, and I believe in Jack Hughes and Hischier. I love both of those players.
Yeah,
so like,
really good.
And I like Sarakovic a lot, like a lot.
I like Brat. I think Brat's really
good. Brat's really like they have a team that you can admire. There are players on the Flyers that I really like a lot. Again, we need to fix some of what's going on here. These injuries are unacceptable. We cannot compete with teams with these level of injury. We all were crushed when Sean Couturier was injured again. There's a reason why.
Yeah, but there has to be.
We all felt the playoff hopes just go, well.
I think now there just has to be a plan.
But that's our problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it's possible.
Too much relying on.
Yeah, on guys that might not be available or could potentially be available. I think
handful of guys.
I really think the main thing going forward is out of all the negativity and the injuries, the 10-game losing streak, the main real thing to focus on is what is here that you can keep and use for the future, obviously, which there are pieces here. And, you know, a lot of people can say whatever they want.
Really.
Yeah, a lot of people can say whatever they want. It's just really injuries. But there's all the young guys are still here. And you could argue a lot of the guys that didn't have good seasons last year are having better seasons this year and bouncing back. So that's, I mean, despite the losses, there's some individual performances you can look at and say, okay, that's a positive. That's a good thing. I think it's just like you were saying, you can't keep relying on those guys. So it's just developing a plan going into next offseason where, what am I doing at center, and how am I finding a guy that can at least be a number 2 center for me or something like that?
And like
to have with you,
and if they get lucky, if they get lucky and they get Fantilli or Bedard and they can come into the NHL next year, like I said, that already changes everything. Everything is different now. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to get lucky and get one of those guys. Who freaking knows?
But they have to do something at the center position.
There's also Leo Carlson out there. There's also Michkov out there, right? There's like
you can agree though, right? That's the key. Like the center position,
100%.
Offseason needs to be addressed.
It should have been the top priority this offseason.
Yeah.
As much as getting D'Angelo was the top priority, the situation with Couturier, with Hayes, come on, like, dude, we cannot forget. Look, I don't hate Chuck Fletcher. I don't think he's the dumbest person ever, but there's no way that the roster moves that you have made over the past 48 months are acceptable level
They aren't.
It's not acceptable. It's not good enough. Something, again, I like the D'Angelo trade.
It's either an underwhelming move for somebody that might not be making a difference.
Or an overpayment.
Exactly. You're
always overpaying. Always for
always
everything.
Paying market value,
Market or up. I want to win trades.
Which is something that
when is that going to happen? Can we win a wrist? Here would be a great start for Chuck Fletcher. He turns Rasmus Ristolainen into a top 15 pick in this 2003 draft. Gets a first round pick for JVR. Do you expect him to do any of that?
No, I doubt he can even get a first round pick for JVR.
Dude, at this, I'm worried that he won't even get a third round pick for him, which would be crazy.
Well,
because you can eat half his salary and that guy will go on a team's top power play unit.
What we're saying right now just speaks to the fact that, like, do you trust him to be the GM and to oversee another offseason when
No.
he's done all this. Not really.
No.
Which makes me a little bit worried because there's so much opportunity this offseason. And just to really end it out, I mean, with some positivity, guys.
I'm going to say this.
Sure.
If the Flyers get the first overall pick, Chuck Fletcher will be fired.
Yeah, I could see it for sure.
Immediately.
100%, I can see it.
But thank you. We're going to bring somebody else in now.
Just to end up on positivity, guys, here's some centers that are free agents coming up in the offseason.
Okay, we can talk about it. None of them ever make it, but
they might
bring it up anyway.
So we got Jonathan Toews. I don't think that's
he'll be a free agent.
He'll be a free agent. I don't think that's the same guy you want to sign though, as it was like 10 years ago. But still,
2-year deal I'd give him.
Yeah, Ryan O'Reilly's going to be a UFA as well.
That's our Couturier replacement.
He'll probably get signed, though, I'd imagine.
I don't know why. Why would they let him go?
Sean Monahan's going to be a UFA. That's interesting to me if you can get him like a cheap deal.
Yeah, but he won't be coming here.
Who knows?
But I agree with you.
Dylan Larkin's a UFA. That's really the most interesting to me.
He won't make it, but I agree.
I can't see Detroit getting
either he gets traded in a blockbuster deal prior or they sign him.
Yeah, exactly. Jordan Staal is a UFA.
I'd be interested in Staal.
Yeah, me too. As a middle option.
I think he's gonna resign in Carolina for cheap.
The two most interesting is Larkin, which I already mentioned, and then lastly here it's Bo Horvat. He's also interesting.
Bo Horvat is the guy. He will absolutely be available.
He will be available,
either UFA or for trade.
Or trade. So it's just either if the Flyers want to go after him. I mean,
I would love to go after him. I have no idea how we would get him during the season without.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't trade for him.
So I mean, we can't have any of those conversations with teams.
Yeah.
Why?
Why would you want him? Yeah, they'd be like, why would you want to trade for him right now?
Why would we want to lose assets for a team we don't even know what direction we're going in?
That's what I mean. You got to wait till UFA for all those guys, right? Like if you have the cap space open, they're available. It makes sense.
If the Flyers are a wild card team. Maybe. Then then you go for Bo Horvat. All of a sudden, oh shit, we got strength down the middle. They're one of the best defensive. Like you got a 1-2 punch of Bo Horvat and Couturier and Hayes, and it's like okay, now we're talking here, you know. But that's not we're not playing in that reality.
No,
so those trades are not happening in season.
I was just strictly kind of touching on it just for like as a UFA in the summer. I'd be interested, and to be honest, if there's some way you can get. Let's say him in here, and then you have Gauthier come in and look decent. That's not bad.
I think Horvat will be a UFA. I think he's going UFA route.
I think even if he gets traded to like a contender,
I see him
still going to walk himself to free agency.
Yeah, I think so too because he's going to be making more money, and I think the team
he's going to want to cash in,
and he has no home anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? His home is in Vancouver. He's been drafted there.
Well, you never know. Him and TK are cousins, so
I think if he is a UFA, it's possible he can come here.
I agree. Yeah,
100% is possible. Because we have a space for him.
Yeah, and you got his cousin too, so you can play with him. So,
and I bet he's best friends with Hayes because it seems like every single person,
everybody's
friends with Kevin Hayes.
Actually, guys, I'm best friends with him too. I don't know, but no, it's true. Yeah. Everybody is. It's kind of crazy.
It's hilarious. All right, let's wrap it on this one. Shout out to Jim Steaks. I haven't been calling them out yet too much because they are still not open. But shout out to Jim Steaks. Keep them in your hearts. They'll be open again, and I will announce it. Vasili, what do you got coming up? What do you got working on?
Just had an article actually come out a couple days ago, so check that out on flyersnittygritty.com. What's
the title?
The effort doesn't make up for the losses, which we kind of touched on today.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, so check that one out.
Helps.
It helps a little bit.
I'm not as angry at them. I don't find myself as angry at them.
Last season was a lot worse. These losses, at least
these losses are not as embarrassing. They're not embarrassing losses. Majority of them.
They're close.
They're like, damn, man! If they just had some of these guys back,
if they just had Sean Couturier, they'd be.
Yeah, they had like half of them back. They'd be in these games.
I know, man. It's crazy.
My dog has farted 3 times so heinously in the time we've been sitting here.
He's not feeling the discussion. He's like, fuck, man. The Flyers are bothering me too. Don't worry, buddy.
Yeah, she's a little fart machine. Good job, Monroe.
But yeah, so check that one out, guys, on Flyers Nitty Gritty. And I mean, I'll have some articles up probably at the end of the week as well. So thanks for reading, everybody, and all the support you guys give us. It's awesome.
For sure. Yeah, again, been slowing down a little bit on the guest thing just because just been busy with the holidays and whatnot. But we're still gonna have more guests. I try to get Anthony on again, but he's so busy. But I'm for those who have been listening for a while, I'm trying to get my buddy Anthony. He just played represented USA again in inline hockey, and they just had their Turkey Cup annual at NERC. If you guys if anybody here listens to that, I was supposed to go, but it was so early in the morning. It was at like 5 a.m. that they started. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I slept. But pretty cool. Congratulations to them, and follow Roller Dad. I'll have Anthony back on here. We'll talk more goalies and stuff, and general just in hockey stuff. And thank you everybody for listening. Again, like Vasili was saying, huge. It's a tough ride right now. So we're not going to stop. I mean, you can see like we're going to keep covering this team no matter how frustrating it gets. Hopefully we have some good news. I mean, it's tough because like we get a little, we take one step forward and then it feels like we get 2 steps back immediately. But we were always kind of in for this type of season regardless. Yeah. Let's hope it ends. Oh my God, dude.
Better than how it's been going lately.
I have no idea what will happen for this draft, and I am expecting to be disappointed. But in the back of my mind, I feel like it's got to be finally something. You can only screw up so many times
at this point
in a row.
Yeah, at this point, Yariv, I just have no expectations. I think for the Flyers, for this team, I just am waiting to see what happens. I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea what's going to unfold the rest of the season. I just think the last 2 seasons, personally for me, like I've watched this team for a long time. Since about 2005. The last couple seasons have been the craziest seasons I've probably ever seen as a fan.
Yeah,
which is funny because I've just started to cover the team, so it all coincides.
It's all your fault.
I know, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again, everybody, for listening. We love you. Please like, subscribe, share, do the whole thing. It's a humongous help to us. And continue to leave comments. Again, I stopped reading the comments out loud. I did notice comments went back up. So I don't know if that's related or anything, but that's awesome. Please keep going in there. We definitely read the comments and whatnot, as you saw. But thank you again. We love you. And remember, always stay ready.